Okay, so we're currently live, so feel free to take it away, Ivani.
Good morning and welcome to the interview with Romania from the NATO Association of Canada. Today we will be discussing Romania in NATO, a perspective on the Euro-Atlantic security. I would like to hand it off to Peter Dushanov, our board member, to start us off with an introduction.
Good morning, everyone. Maybe good afternoon as well. My name is Peter Dushanov, and I'm Director of the NATO Association of Canada, a charitable NGO dedicated to informing Canadians about the value of security and the importance of NATO. Thoughts about NATO do not usually occur to Canadians on a daily basis, but the peace, prosperity, and security that NATO provides are integral to our way of life. The principle that an attack upon one is an attack upon all is the foundation of NATO and maintains peace through strength, perhaps the greatest lesson of the death and destruction of the Second World War. This collective defense draws its strength through unity and the learning that division is the main weakness. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with His Excellency Bogdan Mănoiu, Ambassador of Romania to Canada, who will be introduced shortly. This discussion will allow Canadians to hear about the importance of NATO to Romania, the strong relationship between our two countries, and the value of friendship. We hope you will join us and continue to engage with the NATO Association of Canada as part of our community online via Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter. I also encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can be part of future events as well. And now I'm pleased to hand off to our three moderators, Avani, Tim, and Hassan. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for the kind introduction. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our diplomatic speaker series exploring Canada's relations with its NATO allies and partners in a constantly evolving global security environment. My name is Avani Singh, and I am the engagement team lead with the NATO Association of Canada.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tim Crincoli, and I'm also an engagement coordinator with the NATO Association of Canada.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Hassan Ahmed, and I too am an engagement coordinator with the NATO Association of Canada.
Today, we will be discussing Romania's role in NATO. Before we get started, I'd like to give a brief history of the Romania's participation in NATO. My apologies. I have a little bit of a cold, so my brain is somewhere else today. Since the end of the Cold War, Romania has steadily pursued deeper integration into Western security structures. In October 1990, shortly after the fall of communism, Romania began establishing diplomatic relations and aligning its foreign policy toward NATO and the West. Romania formally joined NATO on 29th of March 2004, following the invitation extended at the Prague Summit in November 2002. Membership was seen as a major step in securing Romania's external defense and consolidating its democratic transition. Even prior to full membership, Romania had taken part in numerous peacekeeping operations and NATO-related partnerships. After accession, Bucharest committed to NATO missions and gradually increased its interoperability with allied forces. Romania's geostrategic position, sharing a border with Ukraine and with direct access to the Black Sea, gives it a key role on NATO's eastern flank. The alliance notes that Romania hosts important command structures, air defense infrastructure, and allied deployments, making it an essential contributor to the regional security. Over time, Romania has raised its defense spending and modernized its forces to better fit into NATO's collective defense posture. It now hosts allied air policing missions and ballistic missile defense assets, and it has expressed strong support for NATO's open door policy, including in the context of Sweden's accession. Romania continues to invest in infrastructure, defense industry capacity, and host nation support for allied forces, demonstrating a clear commitment to the alliance's deterrence and defense efforts in the Black Sea region. With the war in Ukraine and the broader shift in Europe's security dynamics, Romania has become more active in NATO's deterrence and defense posture. Its membership represents a security guarantee, ensuring that its national defense is firmly woven into the fabric of the alliance. Romania is not a passive member, but an active contributor, hosting allied forces, aligning its capabilities, and positioning itself as a regional hub of stability. For a Canadian audience, understanding Romania's role in NATO highlights how transatlantic defense and security are deeply interconnected. Romania's commitment strengthens the collective security of Europe and North America alike, making it a crucial partner for Canada in areas of defense cooperation, training, and regional stability across the Black Sea and Eastern Europe. Ambassador Bogdan Mănoiu is a career diplomat with an activity in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs which started in 1995. His Excellency has served as Romania's ambassador to Canada since March 2021, when he presented his letters of credence to His Excellency the Right Honorable Richard Wagner, Administrator of the Government of Canada. A seasoned diplomat and expert in European affairs, the ambassador has previously served as presidential advisor for European affairs, head of the government's Department of European Affairs, and Secretary of State in Romania's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Over his distinguished career, he has held senior roles focused on Western Europe, the Western Balkans, and regional cooperation, as well as serving as Romania's special representative for the Centennial of the Great Union. The ambassador holds degrees from the Polytechnic University of Bucharest and the University of Bucharest, with postgraduate studies in communication, political science, and national security. Ambassador, we invite you to begin with some opening remarks before we proceed to the questions.
Thank you so much for this extensive introduction, and thank you so much for inviting me to take part to your prestigious diplomatic speaker series. It's a very challenging role for me. Although I've been here for quite some time, I am taking this extremely seriously. So I would like to frame the debate by beginning with some remarks, which I hope would help us orient the discussion we will have further. So. My presence here is extremely timely. It's a very happy coincidence that only yesterday our president, newly elected at the beginning in the first part of this year, presented the National Defense Strategy for 2025-2030, which is the most comprehensive document in terms of defense. And it's the most up-to-date. So for our discussion, this document is purely the basis for my intervention, obviously correlated with the elements I already know. At the moment, the strategy is under public debate, and it will be submitted shortly to the Parliament for approval. There are some new elements in this strategy for a national strategy for defense. For instance, it is for the first time that it highlights the concept of solidarity-based independence. Now, I pointed out two keywords, solidarity and independence. This means that our defense is based on self-reliance, but also on in the context of enhancing our integration and in the cooperative structures such as NATO and also the EU. We'll talk some further about the correlation between the EU and NATO. This 40-page document highlights our commitment to protecting the country, to strengthening alliances, and to adapt to rapidly changing global security environment. Speaking of which, I should point out, everybody knows already that Romania is a country in southeastern Europe, bordering the Black Sea, but also Ukraine. We have the longest land border with Ukraine, 650 kilometers, plus a maritime border, which makes us particularly vulnerable to, or exposed, if you wish, to the regional instability eastwards from us, and especially to the war of aggression led by Russia in Ukraine. This is why, aside or compared to other defense strategies from our European allies, Romania was and is particularly committed to highlighting the risks posed by Russia in the Black Sea region, or maintaining the Black Sea region at the forefront of the efforts of NATO, both in terms of deterrence and defense. For instance, speaking about challenges and threats. Obviously, coming from Russia, we have in view the conventional threats, which encompass a wide range of targets. For instance, we are concerned about the safety and freedom of navigation. We are concerned about obstacles raised in, for instance, shipping, as you know, shipping energy and grain from Ukraine. All these added to the conventional threats, and some other hybrid threats such as cyber attacks, disinformation, and these have a direct impact on our domestic scene. Disinformation and misinformation campaigns, and also targeting, I should say, institutional vulnerabilities inside of Romania, such as corruption. And I will elaborate on this when going further with the questions, because we have a very specific example and recent example in this respect. Another element deriving, and this is not something new, it is security is approached by all our allies in the same manner. So the concept of security is broader than the military dimension. It encompasses economic, energy, infrastructure, societal, demographic, digital dimensions. We can talk about this further in the debate. What are our intentions in this respect? Having in view the proximity to the war, having in view our geographic and permanent proximity to the Black Sea, we see, and this is the highlight of, and it was permanently since our accession to NATO, the highlight of the National Defense Strategy. We see NATO as the cornerstone of our security. From this perspective, we have all the intentions, and we are committed fully to play our role as a factor of defense and deterrence of NATO deterrence in our region. Particular elements in this respect include modernization of our armed forces, of our capabilities, the development of the infrastructure, ensuring mobility across the country and across the eastern flank. How do we intend to do this? I mentioned modernizing capabilities, developing the infrastructure, including as a means to increase mobility and interoperability. How do we intend to do that? By using our own financial capabilities, but by also taking advantage of the instruments at our disposal. And the first which comes to mind in this respect is the newly initiated, created e-instrument SAFE. And this opens the door to a further discussion on the possibilities to attract Canada in this respect. Our president said that by leveraging our industrial tradition, and we have defense industrial tradition, our skilled workforce, the existing infrastructure, yes, which needs to be modernized, and especially the EU funds at our disposal, Romania can become a regional hub of innovation and defense production, defense output. I'll give you a very quick example. Only a few days ago, the Prime Minister, in the presence, I believe, of the CEO of Rheinmetall, announced the opening of a gunpowder and fuels plant in Romania of €500 million. It's a huge investment, and it goes it's fully aligned with our commitments to increase and develop our capabilities and to increase our capacity to act as a factor of defense and deterrence in our region. This is in a nutshell what I wanted to share with you as opening remarks. So we have this framework, which is under public debate, the National Defense Strategy, with its highlights based on self-reliance, but also on collaborative approaches within NATO and EU. The fact that NATO remains the cornerstone of our security, that we are very committed to play our role as a frontline country on the eastern flank, that we understand by this to the need to modernize our capabilities, to modernize the infrastructure in order to increase the mobility of forces, to attract allied forces on our territory. All of this against the background that we fully understand the need to increase our budget. We are already at 2.3% of GDP as of now, and we welcomed the decisions taken in The Hague to increase the budget to 5%, being realistically speaking, being confident that we will reach the target of 5% by 2035 with the already known structure, 3.5% for capabilities and 1.5% for defense related investments. And I would end by saying that we have all the intentions to take full advantage of the financial instruments of the EU, primarily the safe instrument, and to attract, to stimulate the interest of Canada to participate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador, for that introduction and for your opening remarks. We will now be going into the moderated discussion.
Thank you again, Ambassador, for those opening remarks. So our first question is, in what ways has Romania adapted its defense posture and strategy in response to recent Russian activity, both in Ukraine and in the greater Black Sea region?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for this question. So, as I said, our focus now is on modernizing, giving impetus to our defense industry. We have already a tradition in this respect, so this in no way comes unavoid. I may tell you that, well, jumping a bit to some conclusions, that we already developed practical cooperations with the US and Germany, for instance, to produce ammunition for the war in Ukraine, having in view the proximity to Ukraine, and also cooperation developed on the refurbishment, repairing of military equipment owned by Ukraine. And more recently, we embarked in a joint operation with Ukraine to produce drones based on the technology provided by Ukraine itself. I am not very much aware of the details of this cooperation, but the simple fact that we initiated it proves our commitment to helping Ukraine as much as possible to the best of our abilities. So we in developing this our posture on the eastern flank. First of all, we think at developing the national industry based on technology transfer, cooperation with the different allies, possibly with Canada as well, and investing in civil military infrastructure. Then we felt the need to amend the legislation because we had experienced air violations by Russia, pieces of drones, debris falling on our territory. So we had to amend the legislation to tackle violations of our airspace, which is done. Then we we keep on advocating for maintaining the Black Sea region at the forefront of the Allied thinking, strategic thinking, and efforts, both in terms of defense and deterrence. Because the security in the Black Sea region remains for us a major priority. For instance, as an example, we developed in this respect a trilateral cooperation with Turkey and Bulgaria to demine the area, to remove stranded or erratic mines going towards the shores and threatening the safety of navigation. And I'm happy to acknowledge that Canada is already part of this effort, which is very encouraging. And last but not least, as a matter of political commitment, we are oriented towards increasing our relevance as a factor of deterrence in our region. We are, as you know, a host nation, and we offer support in this respect. We are a country of allied deployments. We invest, and we have this as a priority in the development of infrastructure. We participate in allied exercises, and lastly, but not again least of least importance, we are committed to upgrade the level and the quality and quantity of military equipment.
Well, thank you for that, Ambassador. I think that provided a very thorough overview of Romania's broader priorities in terms of NATO and what that, aimed for 5% budget is going to go towards. If I could just push for some more detail in terms of key priorities for enhancing deterrence and defense capabilities as it relates to hybrid threats more specifically, and asymmetric warfare, whether that be cyber, disinformation, the proliferation of drones. What are Romania's key priorities for deterrence and defense as it relates to hybrid threats, and what are some steps that Romania is looking to take in regards to that?
Yes. Yes, we experienced our share of hybrid tactics originating from Russia, from cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, or more closely related to our internal scene. Tackling and discontent of the population, and generating artificial crisis or within the population, or exploiting the vulnerabilities raised by corruption. So to all of those phenomena, our response was to increase our capacity in counterintelligence, for instance, cyber defense, and not least public communication. So public communication coming from authorities outlining while at the same time attempting to be as convincing as possible the reality is a key element in this approach. For instance, I think you are aware that international fora like the OEC usually offer the platform for the exchange of information between like-minded countries. For instance, what I'm trying to say is that if Canada was subjected to foreign interference by such countries as China, in our case, Russia is the main actor, and the main focus of Russia in this respect and Romania is not the only country and not the only target in their approach, is to increase social tensions, to build on the discontent of the population, to create artificial discontent against the authorities, and ultimately with the objective of undermining the confidence of the society in the legitimate authorities, which happened also in our case. Again, we rely on increasing the capacity of the counterintelligence, of the cyber defense, but also on the capacity of the leadership to communicate publicly in a relevant way. Thank you.
Thank you for that very thorough answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Moving further into emerging threats, Romania has recently agreed with Ukraine to co-produce defensive drones to help protect NATO's eastern flank. How quickly does Romania expect this capability to become operational? And what challenges, whether they be logistical, technological, or regulatory, might exist?
That's a difficult question. I tried to express a disclaimer at first that I do not know much about this. Oh no. Oh, just a second. I think that's good. All right. So I can see now. Oh my God. I thought that we had a shortage of power. So yeah. So what we know at this moment is that this cooperation is initiated. It relies on the technology provided by Ukraine. By default, if we identify any obstacles in the way of this cooperation to develop, the political will exists to overcome any such obstacles. This is absolutely an answer based on principles. I simply they did not share with us relevant information, perhaps because this project is at the very beginning. But since it was initiated, I'm confident it will be developed as expected, and based on this, there will be a track record built in the cooperation with Ukraine ahead of the phase of reconstruction, which we envisage as well after the war comes to an end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer. So we'll move ahead now to talk a little bit about NATO structure, readiness, and adaptation. So our next question is, since the establishment of the headquarter Multinational Corps Southeast and the Multinational Division Southeast, how does Romania see the NATO Response Force, Very High Readiness Joint Task Force, and other high readiness components evolving, apologies?
Yes. Well, I would answer this question by outlining the fact, and this comes very handy at this moment. We have a joint exercise coming to an end in Romania at this very moment. It's called Dacian Fall 2025 or DAFA 2025. It gathered 10 nations with the biggest contributions from Romania and France. And it was a clear exercise of moving forward the interoperability of allied forces, moving forward the operational integration of the participating forces. And most importantly, it was the final phase of the simulation of elevating the battle group in Romania to the level of brigade. So in the last 3 weeks, at several training ranges in Romania, we witnessed exercises with ground, air, and cyber components. Very appreciated by the participating states, but also by the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, who visited last week Romania. Perhaps it wouldn't be a bad addition to talk about, just to mention, the most recent initiative of the Allies for the Eastern Flank, the Eastern Sentry, which would further increase the interoperability of forces, readiness, and also would stimulate the, how should I say, the increase in forces, military forces and equipment in Romania. So this is an element to be taken into consideration, as it would increase our own posture as a factor of defense and deterrence in our region. So basically, coming back to your question, both are relevant in answering how do we perceive the readiness of forces. So we are very confident that the readiness reaches the adequate level, and we fully understand that we have to play our share in this respect. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So just for a bit more detail in terms of the readiness, particularly as it relates to NATO deployments, in what ways is Romania investing in or planning for improved logistics, mobility, infrastructure, command and control, things of that nature, in order to support these NATO deployments?
At the beginning, I said that the main priority is to increase our capabilities, but also to build the relevant or to modernize the current infrastructure so as to meet the expectations as compared to when put in relation with, as you mentioned, the readiness of force and the relevance of allied forces in terms of defense and deterrence. So we will use the most recent decisions, which we encouraged actually in The Hague, of increasing the spending to 5% as much as possible to at the height of 1.5% of GDP for infrastructure. And also we will use the relevant EU instruments, as I mentioned, primarily beginning with the SAFE instrument, to also attract money for infrastructure projects. It is understood that perhaps I should mention something else. Romania has the second biggest allocation under SAFE. It's almost 17 billion euros, and the vast majority of which will be used for capabilities. But also, it should be mentioned that a big portion will be allotted to infrastructure. You know that we have, from a geographic point of view, we have to pay attention to ground infrastructure, but also to maritime infrastructure. We have the Danube, which needs to be protected. When Russia targeted the ports on the Danube on the Ukrainian side, it was not in an exaggerated way, in such a proximity that you could see on the other side what was happening. So the perception of the aggression is so vivid that it is reflected in the political will to do whatever is necessary to upgrade the infrastructure to the levels of ensuring the proper defense, as it is required from us, by the way.
Thank you. That was a very thorough answer. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, especially for discussing the infrastructure, which we know is so important. Moving the conversation a little bit into unity and transatlantic cooperation. We'd like to ask, how does Romania view its cooperation with EU mechanisms, for example, PESCO, the European Defence Fund, the SAFE program, in reinforcing NATO, particularly within the eastern flank?
Yes, so I already mentioned about the SAFE program. You mentioned PESCO. To my knowledge, there are about more than 70 projects developed under the permanent structure cooperation of the EU. Canada is also part of this, and we will encourage their involvement. For instance, I would like to mention the importance of the PESCO projects on mobility. So being aware of our need, again, coming back to infrastructure, to ensure all the means to facilitate mobility, we take into consideration and take advantage of all the cooperative instruments developed under the EU, beginning with PESCO and ending with SAFE. So to say that we have how should I say, we want to ensure the convergence between the NATO objectives, having in view that NATO is at the center of our security concept with whatever instruments the European Union has to offer. So, and we take into consideration all the range of such instruments, again, beginning with PESCO and ending with SAFE. Again, we wish to attract and we encourage the participation of 30 states, being in Canada, and for me, my job is to attract and stimulate the interest of Canada. I am very happy to acknowledge that Canada is undergoing the negotiations with the European Commission to participate fully in the SAFE program. We expect are waiting with confidence and proactively for Canada to make the step forward. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
so
That
much,
was
Mr.
very helpful. Appreciate it. So the next question is particularly along the same lines, but more specific to energy security. It's personal to me because I'm in the energy sphere myself. I wanted to speak about Romania's Cernavodă nuclear power plant. As you know, it's producing a large share of Romania's electricity. What's particularly interesting is that when the power plant was being built in 1982, it was built with CANDU reactor technology from Canada. And that was before the end of the Cold War. So Romanian-Canadian cooperation in the energy sphere is quite historic. It precedes Romania's involvement in NATO. So I wanted to ask you, how does Romania view, A, the role of nuclear energy in resilience of critical infrastructure in NATO member states? And B, are there specific ways Canada and Romania could further enhance allied energy security, build on that shared history via nuclear or other clean energy technologies? Where do you see that moving forward?
Thank you so much for the question. Yes, indeed, we have very long standing cooperation in this respect. It began in the 80s, but the two reactors began operating in the 90s. As you know, we are the only European Union member state hosting a nuclear power plant based on the Canadian technology, and we are very proud of that. Even in the context of the policies developed to advance to net zero emissions by 2050, we advocated constantly on the need to consider nuclear energy as renewable energy, or at least, if not renewable energy, as clean energy. We were very happy to acknowledge that this was accepted. And since pretty much 2023, let's say so, against the background of revival of the internal debate in Canada itself about the importance of nuclear energy, we were very happy to acknowledge that nuclear energy came at the forefront of the energy mix also in Canada as an alternative, as an option for clean, reliable, affordable, and energy. In 2023, we're very extremely happy to acknowledge that the federal government accepted to become part of the group of countries supporting the expansion, if you will, of the Cernavoda power plant with 2 new reactors based again on the same so Canadian technology, offering us also a loan of more than $2 billion. So it's a very significant economic project, but with very solid political contents. So to say that we will have many years ahead of us with this cooperation developing. Our ambition is to have the third reactor up and running by 2030. When the power plant will have its full capacity of 4 reactors, it will ensure, this is our projection, 30% of our electricity needs. And we are able as of now, but we will be in a better position at that time to help or to contribute to the energy security of Europe and our neighborhood, especially Moldova and Ukraine. Recently, there was a contract signed for the refurbishment of reactor 1, which was exceptional. Not exceptional. It was a very good development to ensure the operation, the steady operation of reactor 1. We have the prospects, at least conversations about the possibility of engaging with Canada in a cooperation for the development of small modular reactors. Canada is not the only interlocutor in this respect from our side, but I think, being the ambassador to Canada, that Canada has competitive advantages in this respect, and we advocate for those in our conversation with our own headquarters. So we encourage the presence of Canada in Romania and to use Romania to replicate at European level this fantastic experience in providing reliable energy, not only to the benefit of our own economy, but to the energy security in Europe and the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Recently, there was also an Estonian delegation that visited Canada in relation to small modular reactors. So it's interesting to see that historic buildup that started in the 1980s and just continuing. It's forward. It's an exciting time in the energy sphere. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, following up on that rich answer on energy security and the connection between Canada and Romania, our next question is a bit more targeted to yourself, Ambassador. So you have held several senior roles in European affairs, both as a presidential advisor, head of the European Affairs Department, and as Secretary of State for European Affairs. And so we were wondering, how do these experiences shape your perspective and strategy now as the ambassador to Canada when it comes to aligning Romania's NATO priorities with EU obligations, especially on the eastern flank, as well as how do you see Canada playing a role in improving Romania's rapid reaction to readiness in crisis seen in the Black Sea or the eastern flank region?
Yes, interesting question. Well, I'm using every day this kind of knowledge I acquired during those mandates. Obviously, in everything I say, I rely on my capital instructions. But frankly, it's useful to acknowledge when speaking to relevant interlocutors that the information I provide is useful. There's no difficulty in reconciling what I know in what I possess as knowledge in European affairs with my mandate in Canada or our NATO obligations. The best way to put it is what is reiterating our principal approach that we have this always this in mind to coordinate and to ensure the proper correlation between the NATO objectives and the different defense initiatives developed within the EU. We value the idea of strategic autonomy of Europe. But beyond that, like I said, we see NATO and especially the US as the cornerstone of our approach related to ensuring our security and the security of the space we belong to, by and large, the European space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And thank you very much for your inputs and insights, especially for sharing your personal journey within that last question. We have opened the floor to questions from our live audience. For those watching right now, please continue sharing your questions in the chat and we'll address as many as possible within the time remaining. We'd like to start off with our first question regarding BC Ferries. So BC Ferries is having a new class of ferries built at Daman shipyards in Galat. Given the gap in Western naval shipbuilding capacity, is Romania in discussions of applying the shipbuilding for NATO?
Is Romania inclined to apply
shipbuilding skills for NATO, I believe, is what the question is trying to ask.
Yes, well, in principle, by definition, by default, absolutely. And in this respect, yes, I must emphasize that we have a tradition in shipbuilding. For instance, I may tell you that we have some Romanians as workforce in the maritime provinces in different shipyards. So we cooperate with Canada in this respect as well. So by default, yes, all we see as competitive advantages in favor of NATO's objectives, we will use definitely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Now I'd like to move into the next question, which is part of our pre-planned question and answers. Beginning with, how is Romania working to promote its culture, language, and heritage abroad? And what role does the Romanian diaspora play in that effort?
Interesting question. Yes. Well, I should begin by acknowledging that our diaspora in Canada is not small. We, according to the census in 2021, but also according to let's say information shared by parishes, by priests across Canada, our community is around 300,000 people. So it's not small, it's not very big, it's quite significant. They are well organized in associations. Obviously, there's room to improve that. So all of these associations, but also the parishes, the churches, have a very distinct role. Have a very distinct social role in gathering people around them, but also in disseminating ideas, promoting cultural traits through the organization of festivals, different other public manifestations where the Canadian public may witness what we have and what we have to offer in terms of, I don't know, ranging from habits related to garments to gastronomy, so food and everything else, history. And speaking about history, I should point out that Canada has offers a very good example in this respect. I don't know if you are aware that our oldest Romanian community in Canada um, settled at the end of the 19th century in Alberta, coming from the north of Romania, including from a part which was at that moment under the rule of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. They preserved their way of life. They have a church. Unfortunately, it burned down a few years ago, but I understand that now it's rebuilt. So it's still a vibrant community, cultivating their the traditions and also the language, so maintaining the language. The community is placed all across Canada. From a historical point of view, they began, as I told you, at the turn of the century, 19th to the 20th century. But in big part, it was made up of people escaping communism. Starting with the 50s and going all the way till the revolution in 1989, and still coming to Canada after 1989 up until our accession to the EU. Our accession to the EU decreased to a large extent the will of people, of Romanians immigrating to Canada, simply because of the free movement, the right of the free movement of people within the EU. But coming back to your question, this vibrant community is very much aware of its roots and is, to my knowledge, as I saw it, is very committed to preserving traditions and language. To the best of our ability, we help them. We attend their events and we promote their events in our contacts with Canadians, including the Canadian authorities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. It's very exciting to know that there's such a strong Romanian presence, especially as far as Alberta, which I definitely was not aware of. So thank you very much for sharing. We'd like to move on to our last question in our Q&A segment, which is from the live chat. Would you be able to expand on any current tensions between Romania and Moldova, given what some say are Russia meddling in Moldova?
Tensions between Romania and Moldova?
Yes.
There's none. There's absolutely none whatsoever. So we are the biggest supporter of Moldova. We welcomed, but actually we applauded the results of their recent elections. The people proved to be extremely resilient and how should I say, adequately equipped facing the brutal disinformation campaigns led by Russia. To many, against all odds, the results were as such. We were confident that the results would prove to be according to our expectations, but the threats posed by Russia were really significant. So no, there's no tensions between us and the Republic of Moldova. I saw today, I believe, there is on the news the fact that our president welcomed the new Prime Minister of Moldova in his first visit ever since assuming the mandate outside his country. So his first visit is in Romania. This proves the importance of the relationship between Romania and Moldova. It's Moldova is literally our brother or our sister, our the closest relative. We share the language, history, culture, traditions. So anything linking intimately to states. We say that we are the same people with two states. Romania was the first country to acknowledge the independence of Moldova once it broke out from the Soviet Union. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for such clarity on this question. I would now like to hand the floor back to Mr. Peter Dušanov for closing remarks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Excellency. It was fascinating conversation, very informative, and thank you for sharing your valuable insights with us today. On behalf of the NATO Association of Canada, we're grateful for your time and thoughtful perspectives on the importance of NATO, the enduring partnership between Romania and Canada, and the shared commitment to peace and security. We appreciate everyone who joined us for this discussion and encourage you to stay connected with the NATO Association online through our social media channels and YouTube, where you can access recordings of today's conversation and learn about future events. Thank you again to our audience and to Your Excellency for an engaging and informative dialogue. We look forward to welcoming you to our next session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you so much I'm deeply grateful for offering me this platform to present our points of view regarding the security environment, the Euro-Atlantic security in our region. How do we see it being being in the immediate proximity of the war, the illegal aggression led by Russia in Ukraine? Thank you once again for all the questions. I truly hope that people who registered and were present in this session leave with some takeaways, and I am open to furthering our cooperation whenever you may see fit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador. Very, very informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the live stream has just ended. So again, thank you so much for joining.